So we are studying Lojong. We're at the 16th slogan in Lojong, but we'll begin creating an aspiration to grow in our understanding of the Dharma through the opening prayers. All sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they have happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. All sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they have happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. All sentient beings, especially those enemies who hate me, obstructors who harm me, and those who create obstacles on my path to liberation and all-knowingness, may they have happiness and be separated from suffering. I will quickly establish them in the most perfect and precious Buddhahood. Thus, until I attain enlightenment, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. Until death, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. From now until this time tomorrow, I perform virtuous deeds with body, speech, and mind. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. In the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha most excellent, I take refuge until enlightenment is reached. By the merit of generosity and other good deeds, may I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. As earth and the other elements, together with space, eternally provide sustenance in many ways for the countless sentient beings, so may I become sustenance in every way for sentient beings to the limits of space until all have attained nirvana. As the Sugatas of old gave birth to the bodhicitta and progressively established themselves in the training of a bodhisattva, so I too, for the benefit of beings, shall give birth to that bodhicitta and progressively train myself in that discipline. At this moment, my life has become fruitful. I have realized my human life. Today I am born into the family of the Buddhas. Now I am a child of the Buddhas. From now on, I will forthrightly perform the actions befitting my family. I will act so as not to degrade the faultlessness and discipline of my family. Just as with a blind man finding a jewel in a heap of dust, thus somehow bodhicitta has been born in me. This is the supreme Amrita which destroys death, the inexhaustible treasure which removes the world's poverty. It is the supreme medicine which cures the world's sickness, the tree which provides rest for beings weary of wandering on the paths of existence. It is the universal bridge on which all travelers may pass over the lower realms, the rising moon of mind which dispels the torment of the kleshas. It is the great sun which puts an end to the obscurity of ignorance, the pure butter which comes of churning the milk of the holy Dharma. For travelers wandering the paths of existence, seeking happiness from objects of enjoyment, it is supreme bliss near at hand, the great feast which satisfies sentient beings. Today, witnessed by all the protectors, I have welcomed the sentient beings and Sugatas, Devas, and Asuras rejoice. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. May all mother sentient beings, boundless as the sky, have happiness and the causes of happiness. May they be liberated from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they never be separated from the happiness which is free from sorrow. May they rest in equanimity, free from attachment and aversion. So it's wonderful to practice again together, to contemplate the Dharma. And as we go through Lojong, it is a comprehensive system that starts with the absolute, or essentially where we hope to go, and gradually gets more and more distinct on how we work to grow into that absolute that has always been present in a seed form within us. So we are in a section, a beautiful section, the transformation of bad circumstances into the way of enlightenment is the translation of that section. And this is the last verse in that group, or the last slogan. But I just want to connect the one we're working with today with the first one in that group. So today's slogan is, whatever you meet unexpectedly, join with meditation. The first one in this section is, when the world is filled with evil, transform all mishaps into the path of Bodhi, or the path of awakening. So we have our goal of transforming our life into a Dharma path, seeing it not as achievements and series of jobs and relationships, but how do we navigate this beautiful, precious life we have in the best way possible, growing and awakening every day. And so the first group in this section could be thought of, we're Dharma practitioners, we've been studying. When there is something you're encountering, let's make sense of it through the Dharma. Let's look at all of our habitual patterns. Let's look at how we've lived our life up to this point, and with our studies of the Dharma, make effort to transform our habits and our habitual patterns and our habitual reactions by examining them and creating pathways that are aligned with the Buddha nature, or aligned with the traveling towards understanding nature of mind, traveling towards greater and greater compassion. What's interesting about this slogan is what comes unexpectedly. Not these things that we can see and dwell on and figure out, but what are the surprises and shocks in your life, and how do we work with that? And so what's intriguing about this is, when there's something unexpected, when there's a shock, we don't have a habitual pattern that automatically kicks in. There's actually freshness and open space in our minds. And it's actually one of the ways we can see and understand what a fresh, open mind without conceptual overlay is like, because we are shocked into it. So I remember being late, driving too fast, on curvy roads in Vermont, and ending up in a ditch. And when I ended up in the ditch, for a moment, there was just fresh open space. I was so shocked to have gone off the road. And I could hear the birds singing, and I felt like my mind was as fresh as the air. And then, oh my God, is my insurance up to date? How am I going to get out of this ditch? All the conceptual overlays came in. But for a brief minute, there was open space without habits of thinking. So on the one hand, that is something wonderful to notice in terms of something that's shocking. But it's also a reminder that we don't have to immediately kick in with all of our habits. And we think of what interrupts our expectations for the day, for our planning, When COVID first hit, it was a shock and an interruption. When we get sick, it's a shock or an interruption. All of a sudden, a tornado warning is going off for some of the folks who live in tornado areas. Where I live, it's, this week there's going to be a blizzard, so all your plans have to drop. We often receive announcements about deaths in the family or about our own health as a shock. It's an immediate news that's shocking. So we may notice that pretty quickly resistance comes up or a conceptual overlay, but if we're able to pretty quickly meet that shocking experience with the freshness and say, how in this minute can I take refuge in the Dharma? How in this minute can I respond, not because I have planned this or made a logical response or read lots of books about it, but how can I meet this moment to moment arising in my life, just cleaving to the Dharma in refuge, and embark with the freshness that actually life is. All of these overlays that we do are like wrapping wool around us, wrapping wool around our fresh, alert mind. Can we use the unexpected not as, oh, my wonderful plans are interrupted, by, oh my goodness, I can see freshly again. I don't have to move through this in terms of all the habits I've built up. I can see impermanence right in this moment. I can see the illusory quality of all my expectations, all the sandcastles in the sky that I'm building. I can see that there's a fluidity and flexibility that I can approach with the Dharma to learn from this moment. I don't have to see the people in the circumstances as enemies. I can see them as teachers. I can see that the way I move into it can be marked by generosity, or it can be marked by Tonglen, or it can be marked by any of the practices that we are learning. What can I learn in this experience? What can I bring to it from the Dharma? And how can I appreciate the freshness of this moment of my life? And then using this, how can I live like this more and more day to day? I'm reading a book on neurology right now. And the thing that's so interesting about it is it looks at how we view the world from a neurologist's explanation, which is we are bombarded by sensations all of the time, and we can't even comprehend all the information our senses are sending in, so we create what we think the next moment is from our expectations of what we think it should be, instead of just opening to the next moment as it arises, fresh with us. And then we would add, how do we meet this next moment with a fresh open mind and a fresh open heart? So I'm going to give ourselves time to think about this wonderful section, the contrast between how we can use the Dharma to investigate why we respond over and over again in the same way, and what changes and support we'd like to make, and contrasting that with when there's a shock, we are transported out of those habits, and how can we see and use them towards open heart and open mind. So when I invite you to meditation, yes, of course you could do shamatha meditation and just let go of thoughts. But when we're working together on the Sundays, we're working with Dharma teachings, and the purpose of the meditation would be more in the Vipassana category, where we think about the specific Dharma content and how it makes sense to us, how we might work with it, what is useful, what might be ahead of us. So it's purposeful contemplation. So let's sit with this for 5 or 6 minutes, and then we'll do various discussions. And I'm going to put this group of slogans from this section in the chat room, in the chat box, just so you can see this whole section. So we'll close the live stream. We'll do a dedication. Bodhicitta, the excellent and precious mind, where it is unborn, may it arise. Where it is born, may it not decline, but ever increase higher and higher. So I'm going to invite the breakout rooms this morning, and focusing on today how you see what you are currently learning about traveling your life as a Dharma path, how you're using adversity, and we could continue it from the perspective of last week, bringing in how you're working with our awareness of the climate emergency as a Dharma path as well. So it's nothing you have to do if you want to sit and contemplate longer, but I want to give everyone time for some direct conversation about this group of slogans before we leave it. How do we see our life as an opening to our Buddha nature and a drawing close to our Buddha nature?
Khenmo, I don't know where, maybe I didn't do it properly.
All right. I see where you're supposed to be and move you there.
Thank you.
Well, I think I can. You see anything?
Just as it was, let me see. I'm trying to, maybe that's a join breakout room.
Hi, Jeff. I am
Khenmo.
just checking. I'm reading the different messages. So, Ginny, you were able to join successfully. Okay.
Good. Ginny hasn't been able to hear, so. Ginny, can you hear us? No. Seems like it might be on her end because the rest of us hear each other.
Go ahead with your discussion and I'll invite her back into the main group.
No, I think maybe we're not. I don't know where we are.
I lost the connection, but it looks like there's only 3 participants now.
Well, that's okay. We have a fearless leader with us. So
yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Khenmo.
She's going to lead us out of darkness, I believe.
Can't hear you, Khenmo.
Okay. You are not in a breakout room in this moment.
Well, I was, but I was the only one.
A
Oh no, here we are.
Okay. But I think even if we were in a breakout, it should be showing all the.
What the heck? Welcome back. No, you're muted.
Okay, so this is some sort of a teaching on impermanence going on now, I think.
Equanimity.
Equanimity.
No, it's
Yeah.
it's the breakout rooms.
Oh, okay.
Venerable, since you sent me a note that your connection was unstable, I moved the other people in your breakout room out.
Oh, okay.
That's why it seems strange. And Jeff, did you come late? Is that why you didn't automatically go in a breakout room?
No, I think I lost the connection, but I'm still confused because on my Zoom at the bottom, it says 3 participants. And even if people are in breakout rooms, I think Zoom would still show 18 participants.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, it doesn't? Once people go into breakouts,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
So I'm still trying to help somebody who's in a breakout room who's having trouble.
Okay,
So hi, Jeff. How are you?
good. How are you?
I'm very well, thanks. Did you get all the moving and shifting done?
Oh my God. I will be moving and shifting for the rest of my life, I believe. Yeah. I don't, what, I don't, I must have said something. What was the reference? Or,
Well, I think you were taking care of packing things up after someone had passed.
oh, that moving and shifting. Well, that was, okay. That's so funny. Because
I'm going to pull us together again. So I just want Ginny to know what's going on because she just came out of her breakout room. Ginny, can you hear me now? All right, let me just work with Ginny in the chat and get her unconfused. And then, okay, Jeff, you answer the question and then we'll go back to the contemplation.
and then Khenmo, can you get me unconfused?
Yes.
Jeff, I think the teaching is that you can get you unconfused.
I guess, oh no, I resist that. I'm looking for
Okay,
some.
you go right ahead.
I'm looking for some
See how that works
external.
for you.
Yeah. No, I think, the moving and shifting had to do with the passing of my mom, I guess.
Yeah.
But I work in Washington on congressional transformation. And so I thought you were referring to my moving and shifting in that way.
Well, we can tackle that one too if you like. Whatever is. I just remember you had been having some real challenges with taking care of stuff after your mom died, and I've been thinking about you ever since, and just wishing you all the kind of the resolution and the realization that this is part of being a child of a parent. And it's one of the parts where you have to say to yourself, yeah, I really am the grown up now, damn it.
Well, it's interesting. Oh my gosh, I could say
I had to do the same when my mom died. So I identified quite strongly with it. And I just thought, oh, that's such a learning process, isn't it?
Well, oh my.
All right, I'm gonna see. Ginny is now coming back, and she hasn't been able to hear. So Ginny, can you hear us now? Ginny, can you hear now?
No audio.
All right, we can hear you, Ginny. Why don't you make sure on your computer that your sound is up? It may be that your own sound is off. Okay, and I can't even imagine your work, Jeff, but Jeff and Venerable joining the unexpected to meditation. Your thoughts about that in particular? And you must have lots with that, Jeff, where you work.
Well, you know, it's funny, Kenmo. Now you're asking me that. I actually made a vow earlier when you were giving your talk that for once, I was not going to speak during Sangha. But, you know, I had a moment that you reminded me of, which was, and actually it kind of relates to my work. I was supposed to get a 6 a.m. flight to Washington out of Portland. And I had a meeting that morning and I had to get up at like 3 a.m. And I remember my alarm went off and I opened my eyes and the sun was streaming through the window. And I thought, oh, what a beautiful day. And then I thought, I actually probably said a swear word. I'm like, it's supposed to be 3 a.m. The sun should not be out. And I'm like, oh my God, I am going to miss my flight. I'm going to miss my meeting. And I had a moment of panic. And then I had that moment of total calm because I realized there was absolutely nothing I could do. I was going to miss my meeting. I couldn't get to the airport in 15 minutes. And I felt so calm because for almost like once in my life, there was nothing I had to do at all.
Absolutely. What a teaching.
Yeah. And it really was about